Hi, folks. Welcome to tonight's show in Springwood, Queensland, Brisbane, Australia. And of course, for our friends interstate, 8 o'clock. New Zealand, it's 10 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock in Netherlands, in the home of Amsterdam, where a gentleman at the very bottom, we've switched him around. He's no longer at the top of the world. He's at the bottom of the world. And the home of, well, some really fantastic artists there, Rembrandt and Mr. Van Gogh. And so it's, I think it goes without saying, having a gentleman from Netherlands with a rich history like that to come up with a new form of technology that we're going to share today, this afternoon, whatever time you'll be watching. We're going to be working on sound frequencies, but I'm going to hand it over to Julia, and she's going to take it from there. Okay.
Hello, thanks, Jeff. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Dreaming the New Dream. We have our special guest, Djai Hejin, or we call it DJ for short, all the way from the Netherlands. And I'm delighted to have you on the show, DJ. Just for our audience, I'll just run through your credentials and experience as to why we've invited you. So DJ's got 4 years of experience in Chinese medicine. He used to run and manage and own a retreat center in Bali, which a lot of Australians and Americans and Europeans have been to. He's a former health clinic practitioner. He has 10 years of experience in different frequency modalities, and he is the leading Healy programmer for Europe, focused on healer users, and a fanatic biohacker as a passion since 10 years. So welcome, DJ.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for that short intro. Yeah, it's been a whole journey eventually to come here, and I'm happy to talk about Healy frequencies and what it can do. And there's so much for us to discover in this field. So very excited.
That's great, DJ. So let's assume that some of our audience members don't know what the Healy is. You've got the School of Frequencies. I understand that you were a TimeWaver. You are a TimeWaver therapist, and a TimeWaver is a bioresonance feedback machine. Can you maybe, as a therapist, maybe you can just give us that elevator?
Yeah, let's start with the basics, right? Why not? Maybe I hope most people have heard of practices or like therapies like bioresonance or radionics, which is basically means electromagnetic stimulation. And normally, since the last 30 years, you could only visit a therapist to receive such therapies. So this would mean that every week or every 2 weeks you would see a practitioner that could help you and work with your holistic health through frequencies. This practice of frequency therapy is very old. It is as old as 100 years. But if you look at the history, it got mixed up and a little bit confused along the way, where we could confidently say that since the last 30 years, we have done the most research on it. And the Russians definitely did the most research on it compared to our Westerners. But so imagine that now, thanks to Healy, a small device that was just launched on the market 2 or 3 years ago, people now, simple consumers like all of us, we now have access to a therapeutic technology. And that's what's very exciting about the Healy, and where eventually my part came in. When I saw the Healy, I instantly knew this is what I want to do. And eventually, short after the Healy, I wanted to dive in deeper into TimeWaver, because that's where it all started. If you look at the Healy, the precursor of Healy is called TimeWaver. That's right. I see a link appearing over there. And so I have a big, heavy device, and that's where Healy started. It took them 15 years to get it that small. but now it's like really big. So this is really therapeutic material. TimeWaver is one of the biggest databases and frequencies in the world. And what I am as a TimeWaver practitioner, or how I call myself also, of course, I'm here to help people with issues, with specific requests for maybe upgrading your energy field around you and your bioenergetic field. But I'm basically a librarian. So I have a big database of all these beautiful frequencies out there. I can put them on a Healy, on everyone with that device. And yeah, I can make my own products, my own potions, I call them sometimes. And I just walk into the library basically, and I grab all these different sections. Quite interesting. Yeah, so that's what makes my job really interesting, really great. Like, still, this database is so big, I do not know everything still. It's every day a learning progress. But if people want help and they request something specific, I'm also a little bit of a detective. I want to find out exactly what can help you in frequency. And for this, we can also analyze and scan people, their fields. So that's in a nutshell what a TimeWaver therapist or practitioner does and what it can mean for Healy. Yeah, the most thing, what people come to me for is what you call therapist programs. And if you are a Healy owner out there, you have seen that blue page in your pink app, the last page that says therapist programs. And that's where I can put, yeah, some specialized programs on.
So what kind of programs have you been making, or you know, when you say you go into the library and you pull out frequencies, do you then put them in together like a tune, or a sort of so how does it work?
So if you imagine, maybe most people know about the Healy, there are around 144,000 different frequencies in it. They come from the gold database from this guy called Nuno Nina, right? He's one of the co-founders of Healy. This database I have access to look into, to modify things, to select things specifically. Where if you use a Healy, you have those frequencies in the device basically, but you do not know where they are, in what program they are positioned, what it is all over the place. So that's the difference between me being a therapist, is just me being access and being able to select that. So a very short example is, okay, you need a frequency for your bladder. You want to get your bladder a bit healthier, let's say your intestinal tract. Then I would look into my library if there are frequencies for that, let's say intestinal inflammation. And I would see there are around 200 frequencies for that. So I would select that little folder or database, and I would make a program out of it. Now, of course, the rest of it is going to be a really technical story, but that's basically how it works. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, so you go behind the user interface and you go to the actual original access of the library and select it. Then presumably you also work with your intuition or with science on that basis. Just out of interest, these frequencies, was it the Russians or the kinesiology? Where do these measurements for the frequencies? I mean, you know, just 200 frequencies for the bladder makes the mind boggle a little. But sort of where did all that data come from?
Good question. So if people have heard of Rife, Royal Rife, Hulda Clark, Meg Patterson, you also have a a frequency database called Healing Frequencies. Van Gelder Frequencies. There have been many people out there who've been building up their own database based on their own knowledge or practice, clinical cases. So it depends on what database you would look into, on what that person, how they created it. For instance, Royal Rife, most people know, he was working like a monk. He was sitting there day and night behind this frequency device and testing the different frequencies on small microorganisms, and he would find out which frequency would kill the harmful microorganism. So Royal Rife has just a few frequencies. For instance, for one virus, he has maybe a few frequencies. But if you look at the other practitioners, they came up with many more frequencies for the same microorganism. And I think the gold database, which comes from Nuno Nina, and I think this guy, he has a gift. He has a, I don't know, this spiritual gift where he just knows what frequency suits what issue. So he built his own frequency database out of that. It turned out eventually he has the biggest, I think, on the planet with the most variety. And so there are different ways to determine what frequencies work for what part of the body. Yeah, these were just a few examples how you can come up with that.
And just for the people who are like me, are a bit visual, is the TimeWaver that you said was the original, apart from the Rife, is that the one where you have that sort of crystal, you got to hold like an electrode wand and it reads your readings, or what does it look like? Does it work?
This is how you apply the frequencies. These are electrodes. So just like you have with the Healy, you have the wires, and the wires you attach to your wristbands, for instance. So here, this is what a person holds. The tube you were talking about is called, they've given different names to it, but for instance, a Tesla tube. It works much more with the light spectrum, where we work with the electromagnetic stimulation through microcurrent frequencies. So you will feel the buzz. With the tube, you just need to keep it close to you. You do not need to touch it necessarily. So that comes mostly from different frequency technologies. But the TimeWaver, as I said, they integrated all the different databases, or most of the different databases that is out there on the planet. So I also have the database of Rife, Hulda Clark, healing frequencies, and the gold frequencies.
And what drew you to this practice at all? How did you come across in this area?
Yeah, so currently I'm also a student in osteopathy. My big passion is actually holistic health, as I said, for a long time, or at least 10 years. I think it's my biohacker side that just loves this. But it's also because it's so specific, if you dive into the field of healing, and I know what I know, but I also know that I don't know everything. And if you look at frequency, it's so holistic and it's so multidisciplinary. You can target so many things you would find in other modalities. That is where it got my biggest interest, because it felt like there's a Dutch saying for that. You hit once, but you get 2 flies in the same time. It feels like I'm hitting 5 flies at the same time here.
We have the 2 birds in a hand. You've got the fly.
I was looking for how to translate this. No, it's too Dutch for that.
Yeah. So DJ, just tell us. I mean, you've obviously been in the healings. If you've been in Bali and had a retreat and studied Chinese medicine, have you always been interested in healing as a kid growing up, or sort of what was your path?
Good question. Eventually, I turned into healing full time because I also had to heal myself. And of course, every healer, you need to heal yourself first before you're able to help others. Before that time, believe it or not, I've been a stand-up comedian professionally.
Oh.
Yeah, that's something completely different, I know. But I can tell you it works. It comes in handy if you have a great sense of humor and you start to help people with their health.
Yep, gotcha. Very good. Hey, Healy, I've just been looking behind the scenes here so I could bring stuff up for the presentation there, but I get the impression this Healy seems to be like a multi-level marketing product that gets sold out through a whole distribution network of who you know. Is that how that works?
If Healy is a multi-level marketing, you say?
Yeah. Is it a product that's distributed through multi-level marketing means?
Yeah. It's a social selling system. True. You can only get the Healy through a person who has purchased it before and who is a member of Healy World. If you've also to count of the recent developments with Healy, because as you can understand, I'm mostly busy helping people across the globe. So diving into the business side of Healy, it's sometimes too much for me. But I've heard that they're now jumping partially away from the MLM and they're going into subscriptions purchases. So that might be a benefit for some buyers in the future.
Yeah, in Australia, I mean, I've bought a Healy as well, Jeff, and in Australia it was, I think they launched in the US, Europe, and Australia and Singapore, and there was so much demand, especially out of Byron Bay, for it, that they couldn't actually keep up with the orders the first sort of year, and then COVID happened. But then, so there was difficulties with that, and the MLM, well, that system, they just chose it to try and distribute it quickly. Obviously, they decided it would spread faster through grassroots rather than trying to go the traditional way of selling medical equipment.
And I totally agree in a way. There are a couple of things why multi-level marketing would work quite well for this product. Because it's sold by people, the responsibility is to all the sponsors out there and everyone who's selling it actively is to know what you're saying about it, and at the same time, because it's so decentralized in that sense, it's with this product you need to know a way to stay safe, to not be stuck in health claims and etc. But maybe that's a little bit of a sidetrack here.
Yeah, no, but I think it's interesting, and that's what I know that the Rife founder, that was really what he had great difficulty because he was in the US, and I don't know, Jeff, whether you tried out the Rife when you were in the US in that space, but he's not in America anymore because they pretty much shut him down because this traditional system felt so threatened by him.
Yeah,
true. It's there's been horrible stories out there. Yeah,
like the big circular centric rings there, and you got one on one side, and then you're sitting on the. You got two of them. One on the. So you sat down, you got one on the left, one on the right, and you just sit there, and it just goes right through your whole body. Am I right on the money on that one? I think I've seen that operate.
I know what you're saying. What device? I forgot the Russian name, but they call it Kazlinsky tubes or something. You sit in the middle and you hear this current going, and either you feel something or you don't feel nothing, but you can expect that the physiology of the body will respond to those fields. You can put it higher, you can put it lower, and the tubes are a little bit away from you. Where now, if we talk about Healy, we are attached, we are stuck to wristbands. There are electrodes on the skin. This has a much more, what you say, impact on the body, more directly stimulated. But it's the same principle because it works from both sides. Both hands you have wristbands, and that's where frequency will be communicated to your cells, right? The moment electricity moves through your skin to your nerves, to the central nervous system, your body has to do something with it. And there aren't harmful frequencies we work with Healy, but of course there are harmful frequencies out there. The frequencies that we work with, and especially when I make a program for a Healy, the Healy has access to the different frequencies of hertz, right? We express things in hertz, the vibration per second, and you have access to between 0 hertz and 2 million hertz on your Healy. As of course there are more. But the physical frequencies we find between the 1000 hertz just 1,000 hertz, and most of the physical frequencies you find there. And above that, it's where it gets it's less dense. It's much more fluid, you could say. It is more emotional. It is eventually more mental, maybe more spiritual. And if people ask, like, on what level are we working? This is what I can from a very concrete point of view, say, you work on this level, up to top 2 million hertz.
Okay,
Right.
so more in the aura rather, because cells are like 30 to 70 hertz per second, right? That's their oscillation. And so what you're saying is that
You mean minus
more...
70 millivolts?
Oh, do I?
I'm asking, actually. I just want to make sure we're on the...
I don't think I remember my units.
No worries, but that's a very good question. So if you look at a cell membrane potential, where everything in the universe has an electrical charge, it has a relationship with electricity. So the charge of each cell in your body is unique in a way. If you look at the difference of a brain cell versus a liver cell. So for instance, a liver cell a kidney cell is very negatively charged. It is even below minus 70 millivolts. If you look at a healthy cell, a general healthy cell, it is around, they measured, minus 70 millivolts. If you look inside the cell, there are even different charges over there. For instance, the mitochondria, they are minus 150 millivolts. And you want to keep the charge there. That's the thing. So the moment you work with frequency, you want to work with frequencies that restore the charge around the cell. And that means that the cell itself, it can repair itself, it can regain its health back, and have a good, healthy physiology. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just want to start from the very beginning for people who are just watching. So you mentioned hertz. So we're talking about, if you've got a push bike and you just turn the wheel over once, that'd be 1 hertz. So for us guys on radio, for those who are listening, we're FM88 Australia. So 88 would be the fact that you would be turning your cycle on the push bike 88 times per second in order to get our frequency so that you could actually listen to the radio station. So when you're talking about the frequencies that are basically out there, and there's a full spectrum, and of course our audio range is for listening is between 50 to 20,000 hertz. But during the course of our life, we can shut down all those frequencies because there could be a noisy motorbike, could be a train going through. You could be living at Schiphol Airport and the planes are dropping down on you. So you shut those frequencies out. And so, but our speaking voice operates between 200 and 400 in that little spectrum. What I was really fascinated was that dolphins operate at 200,000 hertz, and they just send packets of data, boom, boom, boom. And you just got to have, it's just like the old-fashioned system where we used to dial up on the internet, and you go zzz, and you're back on the system. So, you know, data going through. So when the dolphins out those packets like that, and now you're coming along with this fantastic product that's enabling people, I'm saying that, enabling people to get out there and start working on their own physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health by talking to their cells on the frequencies that bring them back to life, rather than just take a chemical compound that's operating on another frequency that denigrates the actual cell. Yeah, and we're on the same page now.
Did you hear that, Julia? That was one of the best descriptions I've ever heard of what we're doing here.
That's cool.
That is, very correct. Yeah.
Well done,
and
Jeff.
Especially, because you were talking about us hearing frequencies, right? I'm busy with what is the body's response to different frequencies, as any, especially microcurrent frequency, which means electricity, has a response in the body, and it's so subtle also. Right, I'm moving my hand right now. There is electricity moving through the nerves, but I don't feel it. Maybe because I'm so used to it, but also because it's so subtle. So when you work on your health and your well-being with these frequencies, make it very easy, gentle, subtle, that is that would work fine. And it's all about information, right? Because you and me, we're now talking about hertz, about frequencies, oscillations, right? You see this little wave coming in, and it's an electrical current. But eventually, what we actually do here and how frequencies work has to do with information field, right? If I would both ask you this question: is vitamin C a working substance, or is it working because it contains information for the cells?
The latter one contains information for the cells.
Yeah. And this is the paradigm where we're in. We're talking about quantum science here, quantum field technology. And eventually, this is what it's all about. So whether you bring this information into the cells through electricity or through the field, where most people are aware that remote and distance healing is possible, where you do not need necessarily the physical touch to get the information through. It's about this information, and that's where we're making the biggest steps with Healy. Like, thanks to Healy, we're in the biggest frequency experiment on the world ever. People are working with this information field, and they're noticing the differences. And so we're in the field of magic here. So eventually, when we really dive into what it can more do for you, most of it is speculation. Some things we can really claim it works like this. It is hardcore science, but most of it, what we still need to discover, nothing is set in stone yet.
Okay, it sounds really exciting, but I'm still I've fallen off the bicycle here on two points. My friend's trying to integrate it in my thinking mind. So one was, DJ, back to you, is that you said that the kidney had a negative microcurrent, a negative voltage.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they all have. All cells are more, and we as humans, we are more negatively charged than positive. We get stressed when all these positive ions get into our system too much. Yeah.
So when you put in a current in, isn't that sort of changing it? I'm probably thinking on a pH scale, but are you making them more negative, or are you sort of switching them? Is it like maths where you just how does it work?
It's like what is the okay, maybe best to explain this is from embryology. Okay, imagine that you were first a fetus, or before that you were nothing. You're just a bunch of cells. Can you imagine that all these cells started to differentiate into brain cells, kidney cells, liver cells, blood cells, white blood cells? What moment in time did they get what information to do that, to specialize? So we see there's this moment in the growth of your fetus that either the mother or the starts to fire action potentials with specific frequencies. It is thanks to these specific frequencies that the cells start to differentiate according to a specific frequency towards a specific function of metabolism, for instance. And so it is from an embryological point of view that a cell is charged in a way where you could say, okay, that kidney cell is more negatively charged than the liver cell. And when they have charge, you want to keep it there.
Okay, great. Thanks for explaining that. Hi, we've got Maria and joining us saying electrons are negatively charged and protons are positively. And yes, I guess this is where and I think you're leading us into that, the field of intelligence. And this goes back to, I'm hooking back to the second time I fell off your bicycle metaphor, Jeff. And this is the vitamin C. So vitamin C, and DJ, you asked, is vitamin C, is it bringing information to the body? Is that, or is it, I always thought it was bringing nutrients or just something that's missing to the body. So using what you've just told me, does that mean the vitamin C is then filling in an information gap or a missing link, or sort of how does that, can you elaborate, please?
It's all about resonance, right? If if information is what it's all about, and we have the information of vitamin C, you can ask yourself the question, do I want to get this information into my body through a pill, a supplement, or do I want to have it in through microcurrent frequency or through working with the Healy? Because both ways, if you look at from that side, it's you could do it both ways. And so if you take the microcurrent or the information frequency of vitamin C, what it does, it looks for a resonance in the body. Where, for instance, yes, you need some vitamin C and there is a void. So it starts to look for that resonance. It finds it highly resonant because it is not there, and it wants to get it on the same level of what came in, right? It wants to become equal. And when it starts to work on you, the frequency, eventually they start to vibrate on the same level. You have a perfect resonance, and therefore a good conductivity in the body, and it stops giving. Because the next step of this explanation is, of course, is that the Healy stops giving you frequency if you have sufficient of it. Does that make sense?
It does. Wonderful. It's just all click, click, click. Because I mean, that's certainly when I got sold, they all said, you know, it's a two-way program. It's not just like, you know, feed the patient the bottle of milk, stuff it down them, regardless of whether they need it or not, but that it's actually scanning you and you know, responding to that. And you've just backed it up. And I saw Jeff nodding his head as well.
Yeah, and another. Oh, sorry, Jeff. Go.
Yeah. So what I was going to illustrate was if you've got a mustard seed or you've got a pine cone seed, it's already got a program in it. And so it's just a matter of being placed in a habitat that's going to profoundly ignite the program for it to become the pine tree. And so mankind, the human form itself, with its DNA and RNA, contributes with its cellular structure from the parents to create, okay, this is what I want for myself as Jeffrey Shaw. So the thing is that it's going to unfold because there's the original program, but that original program says, I need sustenance. And if we're actually humans that are barefoot walking on the earth and we're getting the resonance from the earth itself because it has a vibratory rate, and we're partaking in the food chain where it's got a high vibrancy, when we partake by either drinking the water or we take in the food that's been grown, our body is sustaining itself because it's resonating to that particular frequency of food that we're taking on board. What we've come to a point in our life, it seems to be, is that we've poisoned our mind by, I'm going to say, propaganda or other thought forms from other humans who say, believe in me, you know, rather than listen to yourself and follow your own intuition. So what I find about this, having you on tonight, is to say, once and for all, you can claim back your own life. You can be in charge of your own ship, your own vessel, you know.
Yeah.
You can be the master of your own vessel. I think that's what this conversation is all about. And it's about asking our program, this human program that was already created, just to ignite it and remember what we're capable of doing. And that's unbelievable stuff that we could actually do if we work on a principle of the currency of love rather than work on the currency of fear. But
absolutely. And eventually you see it's all about frequency. What in our reality is really of a physical nature. It's, yeah, if you talk with a quantum mechanist, he will say that there is no matter. There's mostly actually empty space. So from a quantum level, there is always a memory of us being in our perfect health and balance and whatever you want. If you have it in your DNA, whatever, because that's where most people are like, oh, it's genetic, so I am screwed. I'm not going to be able to fix this. In this paradigm shift, you actually see it takes a moment. It might take a frequency. It might take a couple. It might take your body to adapt to it a little bit. But change can happen like this, and you can be at the rudder it yourself, especially on the basis of health. You can be autonomous. Yeah.
So I could switch from a beaten up Ford Ute to a Ferrari.
That's right.
And wouldn't it be great? Would it?
I want the wings too. I want the Batman mobile.
Yeah, and that's where eventually people say your frequency or your oscillation goes up. It changes. It becomes more adaptable. We are very complex systems, and we should stay that way. And the one who can adapt best will survive.
Yeah. I have to admit, when I the reason I ended up buying the Healy was I just had half an hour, and I was quite tired, and it was just half an hour, and I just felt like I'd been topped up with the go-kart or the octopus cart. I couldn't believe it. I didn't have to spin any chakras, do any meditation, do any qigong. It was just like a top up, half an hour.
Yeah.
So I went and got my vibrations got fast very quickly over, in half an hour's space. What about you yourself, DJ? Sort of like, how long ago did you sort of discover this, and what have you actually used to work on it, and what changes have you seen in your clients? We've talked a lot of theory and how it works, and I have a much better understanding. Thank you very much to the two of you to elegantly bringing it into DJs. But yeah, let's hear about your experiences now.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, it was around 2 years ago, I bought the Healy. It came on my path, as I said, intuition or whatever it was said, yes, go for this. And when I saw what it could do, I knew how to use this on myself, because I was having some complaints, some physical issues, a lot actually. I was going to a chiropractor every month. I had to buy in supplements to decrease some inflammation. There's a whole story on this, on something traumatic happened in my life, and I just had to recover from it. But being an holistic practitioner already, I knew what to do, and within 1 month, I was free of any symptom or pain I had before. I was dealing with migraines, right, and sleep disorders, and a little bit of the depression with it. But even I didn't have to go to my chiropractor anymore. I would spend a Healy a year on just a chiropractor and the supplements, but with all those costs not being there anymore, I felt very, very happy with the results. So then eventually, of course, you start to work with the Healy, start to share it with people, and I have seen so many things coming by. I've also seen that, so many people can benefit from the Healy. I think every single person can benefit from Healy, from information field working. This is without wires, okay? This is without the wristbands on your wrists. It is just activating any program and applying it wirelessly, right? They're also now coming up with the Healy coil, which will expand that range. I can also say there is a type of person that cannot, that might be a little bit sensitive or should be more cautious with microcurrent use, with the electricity. That's also what I came across in clients, that it's Healy or microcurrent therapy is not for everyone. But I've seen amazing testimonials of people with, the cold sores where it really started to spread. On the face. I've had it when I was young. It went away in a couple of days with one of my programs, my therapist programs. Some things disappeared so quickly, right? It is for the client or the person. That's a real big surprise of what it can do. I've had a person with a shoulder pain of 20 years. 20 years, right? And I know as an osteopath, it takes a while to take it away, those pain symptoms. It went away in 2 or 3 months, right? It took some time, but it completely it was gone with one of my programs. On the other side, I also had very magical things that happened to clients. If you look at my, what I call field enhancing programs, right? Because we can talk about chakras, auras, light bodies, and our path of ascension, what we're all on. What can frequency or Healy can help us in that? I've worked on that for 2 months, done some research how to make programs for that. Eventually, I designed 4 programs to train our fields, getting more acquainted, for instance, with astral traveling. There are frequencies out there that stimulate that effect. And I called one program, Abundance Creation. And this is, I think, by far the most popular program, because I've had so many people applying it. And as the word says, abundance, creation, feeling abundant, trying to manifest your abundance consciousness frequency, the expansion of that field. And there have been so many people manifesting exactly what they needed in that moment, like, where their trade went up, their business went up, they were invited to give classes, they even manifested a soulmate, and they could all say it was really since I started to vibrate these frequencies from your abundance creation program into my system. And that was really humbling for me. I could not imagine that it would have that effect. So the testimonials or the results are so wide and diverse. Hopefully one day I will document all of it.
Oh, that's really exciting. Yeah. Do you feel that you're being guided? You said yourself when you saw the healer, you knew it was something, you just knew that was it. Do you feel like, you were meant to be doing this, that you're being guided?
Yes, definitely. Especially if I look at the track of my life, it would only make sense that I would attract these things in my life to deepen the process where I started 10 years ago. Yeah.
Off from the comedy stage and into the most valuable, precious thing that we have, which is our physical bodies, to sort of hold, support, and honor and love each other, I guess, huh?
Yeah. And that's why my company is called School of Frequency, right? Frequency is a teacher. Just like some people, they take plant medicine for diving into themselves. Frequency is also another teacher. And if you would, for instance, if I would have 150 frequencies for your pancreas, and I would give you those frequencies, and you would feel your pancreas suddenly. You would suddenly feel things moving around this sort of solar plexus area behind the stomach. You would feel maybe a tingling sensation. Maybe you would feel the emotional dimension with it. Maybe it starts to release in some way, because, most of our pancreases are under a lot of pressure with so much sugar, so much stress, so many things going on. So if it starts to heal that tissue and your consciousness start to change with it, that is, I think, one of the best schools you could enter from an experienced base.
Oh, I so agree with that. I mean, I'm a Qigong teacher as well as a past lives practitioner, but as you're saying, most of us, we don't really know where our pancreas is, or we do theoretically, but we don't actually have a live connection to it or to our organs, because they're usually blocked off. We just haven't been taught to pay attention to them or communicate. And if you're sending frequencies through it, you'll become aware of it, and then you can become conscious of it. And when you become conscious of it, it becomes part of your own intelligence field, and then you integrate the intelligence field of the pancreas with that of yours.
Yes.
And link them, and then then you're a team. You're not sort of just separated, cut off bits, like that Snow Queen story, which is, the one where there's the fragments, and you spend the whole story looking for the fragments and putting them all together in a mirror, and only then do you see the whole picture.
Yeah. And that's why I like to invite people, if you like to read something on frequency, because of course there are a lot of books out there that can help you understanding this physiology, but the effects of it, just buy the book or listen to the book, The Resonance Effect. It's from Carolyn McMakin. She's a lovely lady. I am convinced that she will create a path for all of us frequencies practitioners for it to become more accessible to people and understandable. Because what the great thing about her work is with FSM, frequency specific microcurrent, is that she shows that she can completely regenerate dead tissue in the body. Okay, if you're an osteopath out there, you know what I'm saying. That's most of the time impossible. Inactive, ruptured, fractured tissue can actually not be fixed. Your body will compensate around it. But with these frequencies, we can show, yes, you can fix, you can regenerate the tissue. And that's very, very exciting for me.
It is, and I'm excited to hear about it, because there was actually in Russia, Grigory Grabovoy used the same method. It's about blueprints and not using your own blueprint, but as Jeff alluded, the perfect, as you say, from the quantum field, the perfect human one. And he had a machine that generated the different frequencies, and he actually also claimed that, he would experiment on dead tissue and create life. In fact, he said the human body is actually in a shape that it's always attracting energy and current and creating it. But that's exciting that the technology is coming through in different areas in different countries. So it's obviously meant to be there for us to move on to the next level, where we don't have to take supplements and chemicals that are produced in a polluted world.
Yeah, that is, I think, the biggest paradigm shift. Is also, you said supplements. It also counts for the extra supplements you would take. I would advise people to still take minerals. Do not work with microcurrent therapy if you are dehydrated. And there is this type of person in the typology of mesology, or you could also call it from Ayurveda, the Vata type. These are the long, tall, slender people. They know they tend to be ungrounded, and they need a lot of structure to function, but their typology, their body types are much drier, so they should have more caution. And this also means that if you work with Healy microcurrent, drink a lot of water, really take it seriously, and do consider to take those minerals, because they contribute to the hydration effect.
Yeah, I've always recommended people get the French product that's sold in the IGA supermarkets. It's called Celtic Salt. It's got quite a large number of minerals, as opposed to Himalayan salt, which doesn't have any iodine, which is more for someone who requires, who's got thyroid issues. They really need to get in and get mushrooms or something else that's got iodine. But if you get Celtic salt, it'll be one of the best things you got in your kitchen pantry.
True, it's a very good salt, yeah. And maybe some other mineral supplements, like most people now know, magnesium is quite important, right? There's a lot out there. Keep it with the good stuff, I say. But yeah, that's some advice I can give to people.
But you're actually working on a program where, and I'm thinking more of like if you're in a country or in a place where you can't easily buy all these supplements or things that we might be deficient in, you've got a program where you can download the information patterns for different minerals. Is that right?
Yeah. So I just made a program I'm really excited about called Mineral Grounding. So again, yes, the information of all the minerals out there I have put in the program. It will come to your cells in microcurrent frequency. I think it's a very good program because it mixes the mineral health effect and the grounding health effect, and then also the monoatomic minerals. If you've heard of it, there's a big history on that too. I mean, this monoatomic gold, silver, platinum, working with that is more than 1,000 years old. The old Egyptians applied it, and there's beautiful data on what these monoatomics, these nano minerals do to our system. Yeah,
DJ.
Yeah. Sorry, did you say something, Jeff?
Yeah, you just lost your audio, just faintly.
No, I can hear it.
Okay, good. But so the nano metals they can really upgrade our system. For instance, where nano gold is a superconductor for the brain, platina opens a bit of the pineal gland and some other channels, which makes you lucid dreaming. You have copper as a cosmic connector, you could say. You have also nano silver, which is, they say, a natural antibiotic, antiviral, antibacterial. And I put all these minerals in there to bring the system, the complete system, to another level in a grounded way. Yeah.
So if I am actually going to try it, because that way I don't have to worry about turning blue, which I know that some people who take a lot of silver, they start developing a blue sheet.
Yeah. There's, as I said, there's so much out there that, yeah.
So if people want to get in touch with you, and the School of Frequencies, is it a school, or how does it work? If people want to interact with you and find out more, what's their best options?
Yeah, so just send me an email, schooloffrequency@gmail.com. You can also find it on the website. If you have a Healy, because I work with actually only Healy people. Just get in touch with me if something got your interest on my website, because I have a whole menu. If you go to Healy Therapist Programs, I have a whole menu of what is possible. And feel free to look what interests you, and then you can order it. Now, if you watch this webinar, I'm happy to give you 20% off on your total purchase. Keep in mind that you have 12 slots on your Healy that you can fill in. But just send me an email, right? I'll keep in mind if you follow this station. And then let's dive into the school together, right? It's just me for now. I have a small team of people who I like to test my programs on. But I'm so busy with helping people having access to more frequencies out there. That's just very exciting. So.
Okay, well, that's pretty straightforward. And if you don't have a Healy yet, you can contact me, and I'm pretty sure that some of the other Healy owners and distributors in America and in Australia that I know will be probably leaving their comments on the feed, so you can connect with them as well in that way. Djai, that's been wonderful.
Yes.
Jeff, have you got any? Because Jeff understands radio engineers and frequencies far more than me. Jeff, have you got any questions that have arisen through our conversation?
Two things. One is telepathy as a form of communication. I mean, humans may feel that they don't have that telepathy, but animals seem to have that telepathy because they seem to send a signal to us to open the door. We get really well trained by dogs and cats. They know when they want to get to bed, and they know that they're going to take a prime position on our bed when it comes to sleeping time. So they've got some really strong telepathic abilities, and obviously we've got a receptive in our brain cells that can actually pick up that telepathy. So if that form of frequency is known, then maybe there are other humans out there who feel that they could use that particular frequency to put a sub-carrier wave in there to create a subliminal message. Is there a way of in the World War II, the Germans used to broadcast, and of course the English would broadcast, and they jam everybody's signal. So is there a way of being able to jam those type of individuals who are trying to set up a sub-carrier wave to send a subliminal message? Do you think there is something in the Healy technology or something else that's up there that actually could stop that from taking place?
So you're trying to block something off a frequency that might be harmful to you or too influencing?
Yeah, exactly right. So let's say that I suppose in Europe there, did you have a TV station that you would turn to, and then you would have a remote there that would allow you to go to the teletext, and then you would get these. You go onto your TV and news services, and that's before the internet turned up. It was called teletext. Did you have that in Europe like we had? Yeah. So, in other words, the TV signal was going out on one frequency like 172 hertz, but underneath it, 172.5 was a subcarrier wave where they'd send out the messages. And if you had the remote, you could then pick up the actual teletext. My point is, I'm sure there are individuals out there who may not have the best interests of humankind, and we feel that they could use that.
I know what you're saying.
Spectrum to send out a subcarrier wave to send a projection to say we want you to do this, or we're trying to control individuals. So is there a way that you could actually then wear like a Faraday cage, but in a different format by having a Healy or some other device there that would negate, just like a Faraday cage, negate that type of influence that's been broadcast on a subliminal basis?
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. The answer is yes. That I know, I don't know what frequency specifically would work for what you said to block off a signal that comes from the outside that might be harming you or influencing you. But take, for instance, 5G, which is, it is just shown, this is especially when you're going to have hundreds of towers around you, and that 60 gigahertz frequency will, with an informational field that is quite dirty, you could say, it will have an effect on you. If that frequency will hurt you, it also means that there are frequencies that will neutralize the effect, because it is about the response of the body, right? That's where the real thing is. Imagine that first, back in the days, 50, 60 years ago, I mean, that's the time where you guys come from. We only had radios, and those those frequencies in the field are quite big. It's quite slow. It goes through your body, and your body wants to discharge it if there is, if it creates a form of inflammation. So and actually the body discharges it, for instance, by creating a little bit of inflammation. And radio waves, they're quite big. But now the frequencies of our Wi-Fi, of our 4G, 5G are so small, so intensely small, that it goes to the smallest particles of our bodies, and that brings us to the brain, where first the radio wave could be discharged here somewhere in the arm. This is a silly example, but it works like that. These small frequencies go to those small neurons, and that's, if they resonate on that level, it might be harmful. At the same time, we have frequencies that can neutralize it, that can reverse the effect, hopefully in the physiology. And this also means, for instance, if you look at the harmful effects of some vaccines, for instance, right, there are frequencies to neutralize it. Heavy metals, for instance, if you got it in your system, there are frequencies to neutralize it. So also with frequency, you can detox from things. We do not need those expensive herbal smoothie-based, liquid-based detoxes. You can just have a normal, healthy diet and lifestyle, and just add frequency and let the body do the rest. I hope this makes sense.
Absolutely. It's been fascinating, and it's actually quite exciting as well, because I know a lot of people are concerned about the things that both Jeff and DJ you've been raising. But I think it's like maths. If you go to the common denominator, which is energy and frequency, you can deal with it. Even rather than dealing with a manifested form, you can go back to basics. And there are protection programs in the Healy, both smog and grounding and different types as well. We had Gerard Bleeny on the show, who also has products, but you can do it on a frequency basis too. Yeah. Jeff, did you have any other questions? Because you did say two.
Well, it comes back to the brainwave. So,
good.
Again, it's I think DJ is actually inferred using the 5G. It is a small, but it just gets right in there, doesn't it? So it can play some. Whilst it's very fast for those people who are on the internet, there is some health issues there. I just want to change subject because that Dr. Mato, the Dr.
Mazura Emoto.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Oh yeah.
The water guy, and how our body is just 70% water, and the influence of what we participate by drinking water or any other liquid. His concept of how a thought can relate to the changing structure of water, and when we partake in and drink it, also would relate to food as well. So the old adage of Christianity, holding hands and saying a prayer for the food, really has a scientific basis for a healthy body.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And I'm so pleased that we've had DJU on, because the Healy team, because it's in Europe, and it's very hard to know sort of who's behind it or who's working with it. So for me, I did buy it because it felt good, and I sort of trusted the people who were buying it. But we're all like retail individuals, and I'm just so pleased to have had the opportunity to have you come on the show and take us behind the scenes and share what's been exciting you and how it's worked for you, and explain a bit of this, what to me is the physics behind it. So thank you very much, DJ, and thank you to everyone who's been joining us and giving us great comments.
Hey, one other thing, what's the going price for one of these? And when you put out a new program, how do you actually send a new program through to the Healy? Is it done by an email, or is it done
through the cloud? Yeah, it's very simple, right? You share with me your selection of programs or what you like to purchase. You send me also your 10 therapist access number code. You find it in your pink Healy app, the therapist 10 number. You send that to me, and that's it. Hopefully within 24 hours you got it on your Healy. It could be even in a few seconds if I'm there on the spot. So it all goes through the cloud and through the digital world. Yeah.
And what's the price on one of these units?
Sorry,
what's the price?
There are different prices for different programs, but let's say from 35 euros, which means what is that in Australian dollars? I don't know. Might be 50 or 60 Australian dollars per program, but it depends on which program again. Yeah.
And the unit itself, how much is the Healy?
Huh?
How much is the actual unit of the Healy?
Yeah, Jeff, the Healys, there's different levels of them, but I think they range between 1,500 to sort of 3,000 at the moment. And then there's, it varies from country to country. So it's best to talk to one of the your contacts who has got a Healy and is in the distribution thing.
Yeah. Okay, right. Any other questions that we asked you, DJ, that we haven't asked you?
I don't know. There's so much to talk about. Shall we stay until tomorrow?
Okay. Stephanie's saying there's a sale on the moment, and Stephanie, she's in the comments section. She is distributing. You can get your Healy through her if you like. So get in touch with her over Facebook. If you're in Europe, get in touch with DJ, of course.
Can I just ask one question? How do you pronounce your first name and your last name?
Djai Hejin.
Djai Hejin.
Yeah, okay. I know it's a tough one for you guys.
It's unique, but it's wonderful. We will never ever meet anybody who's got the same name or the same history of you. Folks, it's been wonderful to have Djai Hejin on, ex-comedian, now biohacker, working for the good and health and empowerment of everyone. And thank you to Jeffrey Shaw from Radio FM88 for hosting us. And everybody have a wonderful week and become more and more empowered and high on frequencies.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.